Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Now, there are certain topics that one talks because those topics are relevant, they are trending. And like I normally say, there are certain topics that one talks that may not be trending, that may not get views, that may not even generate interest, but that's important for our country. And today's topic is one such topic. You see, 10 suicides were recorded in CRPF in the last 23 days. 10 suicides. And this report is of September 5th, 2023. Why are so many people committing suicide in CRPF? Let's ask this question. Let's get right into the show. Now, the Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF, is the world's largest central armed police force. It is the world's largest. Now, between 12th August and 4th September, that is 2 days back, 12th August and 4th September, 10 people committed suicide. This is alarming. Now, it is not just now. This has been happening far too many times now. For instance, the numbers are actually very alarming. As per the official data, 4-year period from 2018 to 2021, they registered a worrying rise in suicide amongst CRPF. In 2018, 36 Jawans committed suicide, 40 in 2019, 54 in 2020, and 57 in 2021. Now, in 2022, the numbers came down slightly, but it is still at 47. Now, this is the status currently. Now, this is what we are talking about. Now, I will also give you some more figures. Now, let me talk to you about CAPF, that is Central Armed Police Force. CAPF. What is CAPF? CAPF is the combination of Central Reserve Police Force, that is CRPF. It is a combination of Border Security Force, Shastra Seema Bal, Indo-Tibetan Force, Central Industrial Security Force, Assam Rifles, and National Security Guard. They put together. That is the Central CAPF. And if you see CAPF, 1,532 CAPF personnel committed suicide in the last 13 years. This is alarming. You know why this is alarming? This is alarming because the forces committing suicide, the deaths due to suicide is more than the death due to encounter with Naxalites or local riots or whatever. Now, let me tell you, there was a task force set up. This task force was supposed to figure out what is the issue, why are these suicides being committed, and this task force came out with a report which said that the discrimination among subgroups, the trauma of being abused, bullying at workplace, fear of initiation of disciplinary action or legal action, and the lack of communication between the company commander and the Jawans were some of the reasons cited by the task force formed to look into suicide cases in CAPF. Now, the same task force says that among other reasons of suicide, the task force also recorded that extended working hours, inadequate time to rest, recreation, lack of job satisfaction as compared to their counterparts in other sectors, sense of isolation, lack of social as well as familial support, and lack of robust grievance redressal cell is the cause of these suicides. Now, some reports claim that it has come to light that most of the suicide that happens in the force are also attributed to reasons such as family disputes, marital discords, other personal reasons, illness, besides a few instances where professional reasons were involved. So, there's another report that says, no, it is nothing to do with the professional working environment. Some of it are, but most of it are because of marital reasons and personal reasons and so on and so forth. Now, the point that I'm trying to make, and why should it concern us, is because these are people who protect us. See, these two are people who put their lives on the line for us. They are our first protection when it comes to a riot, when it comes to Naxalism, when it comes to terrorism. They're the first line of protection for us. And it is imperative that we as a nation look after their benefit. Now, if you look at all the reasons narrated below, I've shown you some of it. There are a lot of it, but I've shown you most of it. Most of these are HR related issues. Not being given enough time to rest, not being given enough time to go to their family, have a social and familial support, not being given enough time to have, the me time, or as they call it, the work-life balance. These are some of the issues that has come up. The other issues are management issues. Management issues where there is bullying in the unit, there is bullying in his office. He is not given self-respect. There is no self-respect that they get. The working environment is poor. And most importantly, this is based out of some personal experiences dealing with police across the state. My personal experience is the way a senior officer treats a junior officer. A junior officer is almost treated like a slave. Especially IPS officers, top officers who comes, as directly are planted as bosses in the units. The way they treat their subordinate is at times borderlines inhuman. It borderlines inhuman. And I am sure a lot of IPS professionals will agree to me. A lot of them will agree to me. Because it depends, a unit, when you walk into a unit, this is my personal experience, when you walk into a unit, you can actually feel the unit. If the unit commander is a good guy, is a person who treats people well, is a person who believes in human resources and development, is a person who believes in creating a good environment, that unit is very vibrant, is very good. You have very energetic people in that unit. But the moment, and a lot of these officers are, the moment you have these officers who do not care a damn about their people, who practices the worst human resources development practices in their units, who treats their subordinates like dirt. If you go to this unit, you can feel that in that unit. You can feel the discontent, the tension, the complete, that unit, that environment tells you that nothing is right in that unit. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand this. I have run companies and I know when I see management going wrong. And that's precisely what happens in some of these units. While these, after the task force, there are certain steps that have been taken, no doubt about it. Some steps have been taken, and the steps that have been taken are, they have created something called as buddy system, where as far as the system, two Jawans are paired together for each other, so that there is a bond between two Jawans, so that there is some kind of a social interaction between these two people. There is Chopal system, where the CAPF personnel officers hold informal discussion. The boss sits with the people and say, "Batao kya batata hai." But I'll tell you, a lot of this I have also seen. Maybe not of CRPF, but of police, but I have also seen. You see, nobody has the guts to go. There is no free discussion and all that happens unless and until, like I told you, that officer is a real good HR a person who believes in human resources development. Otherwise, you don't see all this kind of, free inflow and outflow of discussion. No, all that doesn't happen. The discussion is restricted. You say anything wrong and the officer, you had it. So, the fact is, but all the same, the Chopal system has been followed. The grievance readdressal system has been made effective and easier to access supervisory officer. All these are said. Now, I don't know how much of this actually happens on ground. All these are said that you could go and talk to the top officers and all that. ये सब बोला जाता है. But कितना होता है, how much of it happens, one doesn't know. Now, the reason I said it is important for us is because 50,155 personnel have quit paramilitary force in the last 5 years. 500,000 of people have quit paramilitary force in the last 5 years. Now imagine in a country like ours, where we have huge amount of unemployment, 500,000 of people have quit their jobs in paramilitary and possibly doing something else, or maybe a lot of them doing nothing, jobless. Imagine the level in which a person has been pushed. It is very easy for a person to have developed tremendous amount of stress. You see, the fact that when you need a leave because you need to visit your family, need to see your mother, you get homesick, you may want to attend a family function, a sister's wedding, when you don't get those leave, and these people don't at times, you see, it changes much more into a leave application. That's when you snap, and that's when a lot of these people snap. And I tell you, like again and again I say, I've seen a lot of this happen. I've seen a lot of this happen in a very close quarters. I have 3 suggestions of my own. Number 1, during the UPSC training, during the IPS training, officers training, these officers should be trained and should be given tremendous impetus, should be given on human resources and development. Managing a team, managing people, managing psyches, managing emotions, managing bonding. These people should be given tremendous impetus on that. That's my point number 1. My point number 2 is every unit should have a climate study, an environment climate study, which normally a lot of corporates do. Climate study will ensure that the top management, the top officers would come to know as to how the unit is doing and whether people in that particular unit are happy or not. It also gives an insight about the officer who is heading, the CEO, the commanding officer who is heading that particular unit. Last but not the least, the commander who is heading the unit or the officers. In fact, the officers, there should be a evaluation system, there should be an appraisal system for officers based on the unit environment. If their environment is good, the officers should benefit out of it. The officer should be given that plus point that he can manage an environment well. And if the environment is bad, one will soon find out with 2 or 3 units, when the environment is bad and the officer is the same, you will immediately find out that the officer is not capable to create good environment. The officer is not a good manager. You will immediately find that out. The next time when you see a CRPF Jawan or an SRPF Jawan for that matter of fact, a paramilitary person standing on the street, please understand that man is working as hard as any other police, any other army personnel. He is laying his life on the line. He is laying his life on the line too. The environment that he is working is as hard. Maybe he is not in a minus 40 degrees centigrade, but the environment that he is working is as hard. His working environment, his living environment is dumps. At times they sleep in barracks where you can't even stand because of the sting. They sleep in barracks like that. At times they sleep in their vans. So there is a genuine problem. There is a definite problem. And this India has to be aware of, because they are us. They are Indians. We are responsible for them too. Somehow as a country, we only seem to moan. We only seem to bother about these Jawans when something bad happens to them. When there is a Balakot, or when there is a terrorist attack, or when there is an Naxal attack. Only then we seem to be bothered about these Jawans. I think India should be bothered about them now, and India should say that we are responsible for them. Their health, their well-being is the responsibility of our country. And that's the point why I wanted to do this editorial. Till I see you next time, that's tomorrow at 10 p.m. Namaskar.